Search and recovery operations continue in Kebbi boat mishap as President Buhari and other leaders mourn victims. 2021 Children's Day, Nigeria's president affirms commitment to legacy infrastructure for the growth of the Nigerian child as most express hope for a better future.
I would like to become a medical doctor in future because it is a way to help Nigeria in the future and reducing the rate of sickness and deaths in the country.
A lawyer, because I love to judge case.
Military High Command gets new Chief of Army Staff.
We are at hand to make sure that the people's will be sustained regardless of whatever happens.
Plus, NSA, IGP, EFCC and INEC meet over serial attacks on election management offices, deliberate and best preventive measures. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja and Michael Olale joins me from Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari this Thursday granted audience to his Ghanaian counterpart, Nana Akufo-Addo. President Akufo-Addo is in Abuja to declare open the extraordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament as chairman of the sub-regional organization. President Buhari and the Ghanaian leader held talks behind closed doors that lasted about 1 hour. But details of their discussions were not made public. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama, however, told newsmen that the political developments in the Republic of Mali is an issue of concern to the West African leaders.
Current chair of the ECOWAS authority of heads of state and government, he's engaging. So we will see, in the next few days, what the leaders, this particular pushists, what they want exactly, and how ready to cooperate they are. And it's only at that point or after then that we will now explore all the options that are available.
The minister used the opportunity to confirm that a high-powered team led by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment is heading to Ghana next week for talks on the concerns of Nigerian traders in that country.
Everything will be on the table. We want to find a way forward, a solution that will be acceptable to the Nigerian traders and to the Ghanaian traders to solve the issue. In the framework of ECOWAS, to have these traders able to ply their trade in whatever country, because ECOWAS does allow the free movement of peoples and goods and services, So the idea is to come to an agreement that will be acceptable to all sides.
President Muhammadu Buhari has described the news of the capsizing of a boat in Ngaski local government area of Kebbi State as devastating, offering his heartfelt condolences to the families of those affected by the tragedy. A statement from the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says there are indications that the boat was overloaded and there is no official confirmation on the number of casualties as gathered from media reports. And as efforts intensify towards the rescue of survivors, the President extends his gratitude to all those involved in the rescue efforts and wishes those injured from the accident quick recovery. Meanwhile, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has expressed deep sadness over the death of those who were in the Kebbi boat that capsized. The SGF, in a statement, expressed concern that the majority of passengers in the boat were mainly women and children, the very bedrock of the family unit. He commended the locals for their humanitarian efforts to rescue the victims and praised God to grant the souls of the departed eternal rest and their families the fortitude to bear the loss. In the meantime, more bodies of victims of the Wara boat mishap involving about 200 passengers have been recovered following the continuation of search and recovery operation. Over 100 passengers are still missing following the boat mishap in Wara, headquarters of Ngaski local government area of Kebbi State on Wednesday. Abdullahi Umaru Ilalu reports.
The search and recovery operation is suspended for the second day. 45 dead bodies have been recovered, including a baby boy whose mother is yet to be found. It was also reported that the main challenge facing the exercise is difficulty in evacuating the bodies from the river because of the difficult terrain and inadequate equipment. However, people familiar with the terrain are saying there is no end in sight to the search and recovery operation, as about 100 passengers are still missing. Funeral prayers were observed for the bodies so far recovered. Abdullah Omar Ilalu, NTA News.
President Muhammad Buhari has appointed Major General Farouk Yahya as the new Chief of Army Staff. He replaces Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, who died alongside 10 other military personnel in the Kaduna plane crash. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa runs through the profile of the new Army Chief.
Major General Farouk Yahya was born on the 5th of January 1967 in Sifawa Bundiga local government area of Sokoto State. The new Army Chief is a member of Course 37 of the Nigerian Defense Academy Kaduna in 1985 and was commissioned into the Nigerian Army Infantry Corps on the 22nd September 1990. Major General Farouk Yahya has held several appointments at different formations, including Garrison Commander, Headquarters Guards Brigade, Army Headquarters, Deputy Director of Research and Development, and the Chief of Staff Headquarters. Until his appointment as the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya was the Theatre Commander, Operation Hadinkai, responsible for counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal is felicitating with the new Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya, who hails from Sokoto State. The governor says it is the first time that a citizen of Sokoto State will ascend the enviable position of Chief of Army Staff in the annals of the Nigerian Army. He therefore, on behalf of government and people of Sokoto State, the Sultanate Council and other stakeholders, expresses profound gratitude to President Muhammad Buhari for finding their son worthy of the national assignment. He also congratulates the new Chief of Army Staff, who he says has been an exemplary ambassador at the national level and globally for the past 3 decades. The governor prays for Allah's guidance and support as he takes over, especially at this critical time of disturbing security challenges in the country. President Muhammad Buhari has assured Nigerian children that he will leave no stone unturned in providing infrastructure and other developmental projects for the betterment of the country towards building a solid foundation for them as future leaders. This was at the cutting of this year's Children's Cake, marking the May 27th Children's Day celebration 2021. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari joining the nation's future leaders from different backgrounds to commemorate this year's Children's Day celebrations. This is a symbolic demonstration of love, respect, and confidence in them as government sustains effort at achieving harmony, peace, unity, and prosperity of the country.
I'm happy because I met President Buhari. All the children are happy because they cut the cake with Buhari.
I'm really happy to meet Mr. President. I'm really happy today.
The president reaffirmed that his administration towards building the country is to create an enabling environment for development to thrive in all sectors of the economy, taking into cognizance that all Nigerians have a responsibility in building the Nigerian child whose future of the country lies on. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, sheds more light.
The President has said all of the times that all of the things that his government is engaged in, whether it is in the provision of infrastructure or restructuring the economy, and deliberate effort to return sanity to the affairs of the country. They are all for the children. And so therefore it shouldn't surprise anyone that he has come out today fully identifying with them and showing leadership to the nation on the matter.
He emphasized that government remains resolute at tackling the challenges of the country for a better future.
The country is one, and that the challenges are certainly not beyond what the government can handle. And it means that we come together, come around our administration, support it in our various ways, and build a future for the children. All of us who are here, whether they are as leaders or elected or appointed or whatever, it is our duty to do the best we can so that we leave a legacy of peace, of prosperity, and a happy future for our children.
The children were conducted round the State House in a tour to get familiar with the office of the President and the offices of the key principal officers, as well as other sections of the presidential villa, the seat of government. This is the first time Nigerian children are having this privilege of touring the highly secured environment, demonstrating the confidence reposed in them as future leaders by the Buhari administration. From the State House, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Well, May 27th yet provides another opportunity for policymakers, top government officials to make commitments to improving the lives of children. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, have renewed the resolve of the National Assembly to make children true leaders of tomorrow through effective legislation. Ekene Ndulue peeps into the history of Children's Day celebration.
Emmanuel Oluwasona started playing the saxophone at the age of 3. And now, at 7 years old, he has mastered the instrument and sees a bright future as an entertainer.
To know the God's way on time, so that I will not be into anything about crime. That's why he started that. We've been encouraging. He has been going to churches for ministration.
Every other Nigerian child deserves a solid foundation like Emmanuel to live a purposeful life. Today's celebration, organized by the National Council for Arts and Culture in collaboration with the Korean Cultural Center, is an opportunity to remind the society of the need to educate and give proper upbringing to the Nigerian child.
Culture is the basis of setting the pace for the future for them. As of today, a lot of our youth have lost their cultural values, and NCAC is saying no, we must bring them back to where they were. So culture is part of the platform of bringing the best out of any country in the world, and Nigeria will not be exceptional.
The story of Emmanuel Oluwasona is an example of how to start early to mold the character of a child. And like the popular saying goes, train your child today that you may have peace when he or she grows up. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
Go to school, be seen and be safe is the latest initiative by the Ministry of Education as part of efforts to ensure that Nigerian children get quality education in a secure, accident-free environment. Abdullahi Musa Suleja was at the flag off and now reports.
A great source of worry for parents with school children in Nigeria is the fear of the ward involvement in road accidents, aware that there are no commensurate preventive measures to solve the situation. And this collaboration, an initiative between the Ministry of Education and other road unions, is key to 40 million school children ages 4 to 14 across the country with customized reflective jackets, handbands, and other necessary requirements to safeguard them on the roads.
It is also designed to chart a new course in combating the carnage associated with deaths amongst school children, most especially low-income families whose children do not enjoy the luxury of school buses.
Within the context of knowledge leadership, we are indeed celebrating safety and security.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is a partner and will fully support this initiative.
I am reflective jackets and I'm beautifully made. My clothes are bright enough for all to see during the day and also at night.
The government is hopeful that this will be more beneficial in rural and semi-urban areas. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
And while state and non-state actors strive towards the ultimate goal of building a solid foundation for the development of the Nigerian child, children across the country are keen on pursuing goals and aspirations that hint at a brighter future for Nigeria.
Now, what would you like to become when you grow up?
I would like to become a doctor or a musician. The reason why I want to become a doctor is to try my best to give people good health.
A lawyer, because I like what they wear and the kind of jobs they do.
I want to become a nurse. I want the Nigerian hospitals to grow better. I want to be a nurse that will be able to save lives and make people prefer to come to Nigerian hospitals than other hospitals outside the country.
I would like to become a medical doctor in future because it is a way to help Nigeria in the future and reducing the rate of sickness and deaths in the country.
A DJ, so that I'll be a little bit famous. A fashion designer, because I want to make my mom proud and I want to be famous. A lawyer, because I love to judge cases.
What would you like to become when you grow up?
I want to be a computer engineer, so I can be creating programs online, design.
Great aspirations by Nigerian children. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says Nigeria is in a safe hand despite the current security challenges. The minister stated this when he received the Olui of Inyekiti, Oba Adiola Adeniyi Ajakai in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
The minister, while encouraging Nigerians not to succumb to doomsday predictions about the nation, said it won't come to pass.
It's also important for our leaders at all levels to give the people a message of hope instead of making comments that can only aggravate tension.
To traditional rulers, he reminded them of their role in maintaining peace.
Traditional rulers are indispensable to the maintenance of peace and security in their domain. That is why they cannot and must not be ignored as we seek to restore peace and security across the country.
While pledging to help promote tourism in his domain, the minister said he will leverage on the media and technology to showcase Esan Cave and Okuta Abajori, meaning the rock that accompanies you on your journey. Both are famous tourist sites in Inyekiti, Erekmodu Ifelodun local government area of Ekiti State. The Oba had earlier solicited for the federal government to leverage on the tourism potentials of the area.
Economically, it will provide revenue for the town we gain in it, the state we gain in it, the Nigeria as a whole we gain in those economic indices that we can derive from those things.
The minister was, however, formally invited to the Oba's forthcoming coronation ceremony as well as visit the tourist sites. The Oba was also at the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, where he appealed to the minister to support any move that will attract development to the area, pointing at potentials in his domain in terms of investment. On his part, the minister assured Oba Ajakai of his readiness in pushing for the speedy development of the area, and as a son of the soil, it will be his priority. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. The news continues. Thanks for staying with us. And now for some security-related news. Immediate security measures will be taken to ensure that the nation's democratic journey is not truncated by any individual or group. National Security Advisor Major General Baba Gana Mangunu gave the assurance at the Interagency Security Council meeting on election security at the INEC headquarters, Abuja. Mia Ugidi reports.
Night of rain of gunshots in Oka, Anambra State, Sunday 23rd May 2021. And on Monday morning, this was the outcome. INEC Collation Center leveled, bringing to 41 the number of incidents at INEC offices in 14 states from 2019 to date. Bandits, Boko Haram members, NSAS protesters, post-election crisis, thuggery, and hoodlums fingered as the culprit. An emergency security meeting. No serious smiles, because the agenda does not deserve such.
Our preliminary assessment so far indicate that we lost 1,105 ballot boxes, 694 voting cubicles, 429 electric generating machines, and 13 utility vehicles.
Obviously disturbed, the directives were clear. Let your hands always be on the trigger.
We are at hand to make sure that the people's will be sustained regardless of whatever happens.
All my state commissioners of police will liaise with all the state independent electoral commissioners to also replicate what is happening at the federal level.
Discussions later went backstage. The media is out. Mia Ogede, NTA News.
Acting Inspector General of Police Alkali Usman Baba has decried the long process that characterizes the criminal justice system in Nigeria, saying the process is slowing down the effective efforts of ensuring that criminals are brought to book. The Acting Inspector General said this in Abuja when he featured as a guest at a weekly briefing organized by the presidential media team. And in terms of strength of personnel, State House correspondent Jide Unifade reports that the force is almost concluding the process of recruiting 10,000 officers.
Concern is on the increasing wave of insecurity, especially attacks on security personnel and officers, government-owned institutions, kidnappings, banditry, and armed robbery in different parts of the country. Acting Inspector General of Police Alkali Usman Baba says despite these attacks, which initially dampened the morale of the officers and ranks, government's actions to their welfare and training have increased their confidence, and the space available for criminals is being closed through Operation Restore Peace and with the support of the federal and state governments as well as other stakeholders.
398 armed robbery suspects in our custody, 258 cult-related offenders, 222 murder suspects, 202 bandits-related matter, and 86 suspects involved in case of kidnapping. These statistics I'm giving you is from 7th of April to date, but unfortunately the courts are not working. And that has been one of our setbacks to showcase our own strengths in terms of bringing culprits to book.
On state police, the police force Ensmine says there are many organizations that are working in the policing of their areas in conjunction with the police force. He explains over 70,000 Nigerians across the country have been trained to help improve policing in their communities.
We are ready to work with anybody. We are ready to collaborate and synergize with anybody to make sure that Nigerian citizens enjoy the best of protection.
Well, the Acting Inspector General of Police, who came on board on the 7th of April this year, says the police will always be friend to law-abiding citizens, but to criminals, there is no hiding place. In the State House, Jide Unifade, NTA News.
And in the meantime, the FCT Police Command has rescued 14 kidnapped victims from their abductors' den at the boundary forest between the Buari Area Council of the territory and Niger State. This followed a joint task force rescue operation. Ilyas Uonotu Yakubu reports.
Some of the victims were abducted from Dauraka, a village in Ngwamboko in Niger State, while others were kidnapped from neighboring locations. After about 8-hour gun duel between the security operatives and the daredevil abductors, the state's superior firepower superseded.
The police, they perform excellently. And what even amazed me, they tell us that they come around 5 o'clock early morning. They don't come with motor, they come with a leg, which means them to trek 7 hours like we trek before they go to that place.
The police say there was no casualty sustained on the part of the security operatives nor the victims. They disclosed that the entire area is being combed to round up the fleeing kidnappers with bullet injuries.
Today, it's no longer business for kidnappers. We will use all we have at our disposal to ensure that we track kidnappers and bring them to justice.
The FCT Commissioner of Police commended the vigilante and the hunters in the JTF for their display of gallantry throughout the operation. Ilyas Uonotu Yakubu, NTA News.
And the Nigeria Police Force, in collaboration with UN Women and the German government, have commenced a 3-day capacity building for gender desk officers across the 36 states of Nigeria. Ngozi Silva Technicu reports that the training is an offshoot of a policy document on gender-based violence recently validated in Abuja.
The spike in cases of rape and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence since the emergence of COVID-19 is said to have exerted overwhelming effect on officers and men of the Nigerian police force. This is why the Nigerian police force, through its Force Gender Unit, is drilling the various gender desk officers in tune with standard operating procedure on SGBV.
As UN Women, a key strategic focus of our work around ending gender-based violence, as well as advancing the women's peace and security agenda through security sector reform.
There is need to develop our capacities as officers manning the police gender desk offices and handling sexual and gender-based violence cases, as well as providing friendly security environments for survivors of violence.
The overall objective, according to UN Women and the Nigerian Police Force, is to end every form of violence against women and girls and ultimately build a safer society. Ngozi Silva Technical, NTA News.
The Nigeria Governors Forum says it is unequivocally committed to the autonomy of the judiciary and the legislature, but with legal clarification on some provisions of President Muhammadu Buhari's Executive Order 10. Vice Chairman Nigeria Governors Forum and Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal gave the indication at the Attorney General's colloquium in honor of the retiring Chief Judge of Ekiti State, Justice Ayodeji Daramola. Ayodeji Ogunshaki reports.
On the topic, the judicial autonomy perspective of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Tambuwal said the state governors were not unaware of the importance of the judicial autonomy, but said the present executive order was done without consultations with the governors and such undermined their powers. He explained that the recent misunderstandings on the financial autonomy of the judiciary and the legislative arms is predicated on the need to establish an implementation framework, and noted that the process of implementing such provision did not have constitutional backing.
They assure the judiciary of our resolve to see the implementation of the agreement, but importantly, respect your independence as defined by our Constitution.
Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi said that the issue of judicial and legislative autonomies is advantageous, saying that the governor also have limitations based on the constitutional provisions. The state chief judge, Justice Ayodeji Daramola, said judiciary autonomy is as old as the 1999 Constitution, saying the Section 121 subsection 3 was simple and should be respected by the state governors. From Ado Ekiti, Ayodeji Ogunshaki, NTA News.
Degradation of the River Niger and its effects on livelihoods along its banks across 9 African countries are major concerns as the Council of Ministers of Niger Basin Authority holds its session in Abuja. Musbah and Wahab reports that the session is preparatory to the 12th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the NBA holding on Saturday, also here in Abuja.
Contraction of Lake Chad, disturbing as it is, there is a greater water management and associated ecosystem challenge in part of Africa. River Niger is also facing degradation. Along its riparian countries of Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Mali, Niger and Nigeria, the livelihood of about 160 million people is threatened. Fishes and wildlife animals are disappearing, while the riverbed has been reduced to this tiny stream in some areas.
It appears that River Niger is also going the same way, unfortunately. And it's quite a wake-up call for us that we have a lot in our hands.
This is a major issue for the Ministers' Council. Implementation of other programs, including the Integrated Development and Adaptation Climate Change, also requires attention.
This is why NBA member countries must speed up the implementation of both the Climate Resilience Investment Plan CRIP and the Operational Plan OP in order for populations and communities to feel the impact of NBA.
The Technical Committee of Experts also presented recommendations of its meeting preceding this session on roadmap and construction of the authorities' headquarters in Niger, as well as the financial commitments of member countries. The Council of Ministers is expected to escalate these issues to the 12th Summit of Heads of State and Governments of the NBA holding on Saturday. In Abuja, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reiterated the call for a special economic status for Lagos, insisting that the progress of Nigeria is unavoidably linked to the prosperity of the state. The governor stated this while declaring open a 2-day zonal public hearing on constitutional review in Lagos. Musa Toliat has details.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stressed that the constitutional review public hearing offers an opportunity for him to restate the priority of Lagos State, which include the need for state police and the entrenchment of true fiscal federalism in Nigeria. He called on Nigerians within the zone covered by the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendment to embrace the opportunity of the zonal hearing so that their voices and opinions will count in the amended constitution that will emerge.
Considering our place in national economy and the special burden we bear by virtue of our large population and the very limited landmass that we have. A special status for Lagos State, therefore, must be a concern not only for the people of Lagos State alone, but for the entire Nigerian nation.
Deputy Senate President and Chairman Senate Committee on Constitutional Review, who was represented by Senator representing Lagos Central, Oluremi Tinubu, said the Constitution needs a review to address current issues in the country.
We have a compelling duty to carefully address every challenge to this nation, and there is no better way to do it than through this Constitution.
Submissions made by other participants cut across the creation of new states and local governments, gender constitution, and drafting of an entirely new constitution.
Order of the state to be as follows: that Ekpado North there should be written as Yewa North, and Ekpado South there should be written as Yewa South.
And we ask for twinning in government. If we have a speaker who is a man, the deputy should be a woman.
The House of Representatives will hold similar public hearing on constitutional review next month. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
We now link up with Michael Olale in Lagos for more news. Michael?
Thank you, Cyril. Achieving 70% of the 3-year strategic plan focused on recapitalization, technology and people is the set objective of the NPF Microfinance Bank PLC. Amaka Owo reports that this was highlighted at the 27th annual general meeting of the bank held in Lagos.
The MPF Microfinance Bank PLC remains unarguably a leading microfinancial institution in the country, listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The recent stock-taking activity by the bank brought forward audited financial statements of the year 2020 on the review. The COVID-19 pandemic brought with it crash in financial figures, as reflected in the profit after tax, which dropped by 22.85% from 796.4 million naira to 614.4 million naira. However, total assets of the bank stood at 25 billion naira, representing a 28.15% increase over 19 billion naira recorded in 2019. The leadership of the Microfinance Bank is assuring shareholders of brighter days ahead.
Before the end of the year, we may even hit 80 or 90% of achieving our aims. Members of the public have a lot of confidence in the NTA Microfinance Bank. It's not a bank for police alone, it's for everybody.
We have institutionalized all electronic banking channels, USSD, agency banking, mobile application act, and most importantly, we have ensured that the security of this channel are guaranteed.
The board recommended a dividend payment of 20 kobo per unit share, which shareholders approved through electronic voting.
Well, it is okay for us as shareholders.
For them to give us 20 kobo is a welcome idea.
The Nigeria Police Force Microfinance Bank has over 7,000 shareholders and is set to establish 15 new outlets, in addition to 35 existing branches across the country. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Dangote Sugar PLC, Nigeria's foremost sugar and leading brand, is on course to achieving its set target of producing 1.5 metric tons of refined granulated white sugar locally every year. Chairman Dangote Group PLC, Aliko Dangote, made the affirmation at the company's 15th annual general meeting, where a 1 naira 50 kobo dividend was declared to shareholders for the year ended December 2020. Our Yusuf Jibo reports.
Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC is Nigeria's leading producer of high-quality refined granulated white sugar, fortified with vitamin A for consumption and non-fortified for industrial use. 2020 financial year for Dangote Sugar saw the cover float in spite of disruptions and challenges caused by COVID-19 pandemic. Dangote Sugar posted a group turnover of 214.3 billion naira, which represents a 33% increase over 161.1 billion in 2019. Profit before tax was 45.6 billion naira, while profit after tax stood at 29.7 billion naira. Meanwhile, earning per share increased to 2 naira 45 kobo against 1 naira 87 kobo, representing a 31% increase over 2019.
The backward integration is very good, is key, especially at this time, because it's what will help in terms of reducing our demand on foreign exchange. By the time Nigeria becomes self-sufficient in terms of sugar, you are actually talking about savings of almost $600 to $700 million.
Dangote Sugar was able to weather the storm of the pandemic and sustain production based on its policies targeted at ensuring growth, quality service delivery and professionalism.
We have been given a target to produce 550,000 tons of sugar by 2024.
Shareholders commended the company for keeping its promises.
The performance this year, the revenue has gone up from last year by 33%.
The future is rosy for Dangote Sugar.
During the year under review, the Dangote's group approach to sustainability was maintained not only by supporting government's efforts in combating and cushioning the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, but by also providing support to their immediate communities. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. More reports after this break. Please stay tuned.
We're back in Abuja now, and it's the business of Benny Adams to bring us business news. Benny.
Thank you, Cyril, and welcome to the business side of life. And we'll start by telling you that the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has tasked governors of the 36 states of Nigeria to make their states more viable by investing more in agriculture, particularly crops in which they have comparative advantage, as well as to reduce their dependence on allocations from the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAC. Emefiele was speaking at the launch of a cassava processing plant in Rivers State. He disclosed that the CBN will no longer support the continued importation of items that can be produced in Nigeria. Emefiele identified land development as a major constraint to increase in agricultural activities in the southern parts of the country due to its topography, noting that the CBN had partnered with several state governments in the region under the Accelerated Agricultural Development Scheme, adding that about 7.436 billion naira had been accessed by 4 states in South-South region to open up more land for cultivation, create access roads to agricultural lands, and provide infrastructure, among other support services in the region. And on the capital markets, investors lose 98.57 billion naira as NGX all-share index dips by 0.49% as sales pressure persists. Equities close at 38,400.58 basis points as against 0.06% depreciation recorded previously. Market breadth closed negative as M-Benefit led 16 gainers as against 22 losers, topped by sovereigns at the end of today's session. Market turnover closed positive as volume moved up by 5.46% as against 18.83% recorded. Sovereigns, Benefit, and UACN were the most active to boost market turnover. That is business news. Cyril is over to you.
Thank you, Benny. And the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is to partner with the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to develop and market solid minerals under the SEC commodity trading ecosystem. This was a fallout of a courtesy visit by the Director General of SEC, Lamido Yuguda, to the ministry in Abuja. Musa Abubakar reports.
It's another new front to grow the economy through diversification agenda, with SEC and Ministry of Mines and Steel driving the process. This courtesy visit by SEC is aimed at extending its commodity trading ecosystem to include solid minerals in a bid to explore ways to generate more income for the country.
We have pools of financing that are seeking investment outlets, and if we can really structure mining as a veritable investment destination, I think the country, as you rightly said, will really be the better for it.
I appreciate this marriage because for me it's going to help us in developing the sector, because one thing is that you have someone who is ready to lend voices or support to what you are doing.
The SEC ecosystem provides opportunities for investment in the commodities value chain. The synergy is expected to attract more participation in the solid mineral sector. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
The Nigeria Police Force Nasarawa State Command has paraded 67 suspected criminals who specialize in different offences. Abari Solomon reports that the suspects include a principal officer of the state government, a police officer, officers of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and a foreign national.
67 suspects, 37 are for kidnapping, 17 vandals, 8 armed robbery suspects, while 5 were arrested for committing different offences. Items recovered from the criminal syndicate include firearms, live ammunitions, and a total cash of 760,000 naira among other items.
He's buying red trucks, so that was why we were arrested and brought to this place.
They carry this kind of the goods to offload it.
The Nasarawa State Police Commissioner Bola Longe said the command has employed anti-vandalism strategy and intelligence gathering, which helped them to arrest rail trucks and sleepers vandals, including a police officer, officer of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, as well as special advisor to the governor of Nasarawa State on infrastructure.
This is a classic case of sabotage
being perpetrated by unpatriotic Nigerians, including some personnel of security agencies who are employed by the Nigerian state to protect lives and property.
The commissioner further explained that the suspected kidnappers have confessed to be a kidnap syndicate which have been terrorizing Karu, Nasarawa and Toto local government areas. According to Bola Longe, the suspect also confessed to be the kidnapping gang that kidnapped officers of the Road Safety Corps in Udege traveling to Udi in Enugu State for an official assignment last year. In Lafia, Abari Solomon, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the swapping of positions by two heads of agencies under the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. This is in order to realize and sustain government's abiding desire for effective and efficient service delivery in the two organizations. Mrs. Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, the current Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, takes over from Senator Bashir Garba Mohammed as the Honorable Federal Commissioner for the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, while Senator Mohammed becomes the new Director General of NAPTIP. And President Muhammadu Buhari has reappointed Dr. Garba Abari as the Director General of the National Orientation Agency for a second term. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed announced the reappointment in a statement signed by Segun Adeyemi, his special assistant. The appointment, which took effect from the 25th of May 2021, is for a final term of 5 years. Dr. Abari was first appointed to the position in 2016. And President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with Alhaji Ashafa Ajibola Irugbogu as he turns 95 on May the 28th, 2021, giving thanks to Almighty God for the gift of longevity in sound mind and body. President Buhari commends the cosmopolitan exposure of the native of Ikorodu, Lagos State, which saw him working in different regions of the country as a young man before retiring and going into private business. Alhaji Irugbogu is the father of Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, Chairman, Nigeria Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM. President Buhari rejoices with the entire Irugbogu family, friends and well-wishers on the auspicious milestone, wishing the non-Nigerian greater service to God and humanity. Sports now with Ayodeji Makinde.
Thanks, Cyril.